Welcome to some Sidisi, Wicked Witch of the West Coast. We're going to hit the east side of that LBC on that mission, trying to find Mr. Warren G. So, mount up, regulators. Let's have some fun and get some zombies going. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got a little clunky. I mean, we've got a discovery for 2. If we wanted to surveil for 2, then draw a card. But then, yeah, this is... I mean, we've got a good zombie curve out. We've got Carrion into Shepherd of Rot, but I'm not super wild about this. So let's go on Mulligan and send this one back. And yes, we will keep on this one. I like this. We got a little bit of ramp. We've got Deathrite Shaman. Let's go and put Crater Hoof on the bottom for right now, because that's something we definitely want to see in our graveyard. And then... yeah, we want to bring out a zombified Crater Hoof. That's always fun. That's what we're trying to do in Sidisi. So let's see what we draw into. Drawn to Gerard's Orders. I'm just going to lead off with Command Tower. Let's go for Deathrite Shaman. And tap down for green. There we go. Anything else, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Sidisi, Wicked Witch of the West Coast. Whenever Sidisi enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards. Then, whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And we'll cover Squee in just a second. So let's go and lead off with Swamp. And we can't go for Cultivate, so at the very least, let's go and get in for 1. Go, Deathrite Shaman, go. Knock them down to 39 and then pass it over there. Playing against Squee the Immortal. You may cast Squee the Immortal from your graveyard or from exile. And so let's see what this is. And that's just going to be just straight up Squee. So let's see if we hit we do hit the land. Awesome. So it's going to lead off with Forest. Let's go for Cultivate. Yeah, that's good. Let's go for Cultivate. I like that. So we're going to go for Cultivate. Let's grab our 2 basics. Let's go Island and Swamp. There we go. And let's put Island onto the battlefield. Swamp goes into our hand. Click OK. And then anything else? No, we're simply just going to go and pass it. We could swing in for 1 if we wanted to, but I think we're just going to pass it over there to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that will apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you do use that link, much obliged. I certainly appreciate it. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you want to play Magic online, especially Commander online, they've got you covered. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So, ooh. So if you would... oh, man, I almost yielded through our turn. Whew. Okay. All right. Safety first right there. All right, so we're in our second main phase. Man, that is a scary thing in Magic when that happens sometimes. Okay, so let's lead off with Swamp. But anyway, it's officially free time now that we didn't drive off the cliff and miss our land drop. So we've got Birds of Paradise into Sidisi Brood Tyrant. I think that sounds good, so let's go for that. So let's go for Sidisi. Oh, man, I can't tell you how good it feels not to have skipped through our turn and still make a land drop. All right, so we're going to get the mill going. All right, so we do not run into Life from the Loam. Let's get Birds of Paradise down. That's going to give us some extra mana than anything else past the turn to our opponent. But yes, it is officially free time. Let's have some fun. We're getting zombies going. Now, if you haven't seen Sidisi, what are we doing with Sidisi? This is... basically, this Sultai Sidisi deck is basically just getting down Sidisi, getting Life from the Loam, and just dredging and dredging and dredging, and getting as many zombies going. I love getting Life from the Loam going Sidisi, so in fact, next turn, if we don't really, depending on what we draw into, if we run into something good, we're probably just going to be going for Doom Whisperer and paying a pretty good chunk of life to get some good mill action going and get some zombies going. That's what we're trying to do. So, all right, so we've got the crew swinging in. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to let that come on through. That's going to put us down to 34, and that'll be 4 total command. Oh, there we go. Run into Parallel Lives. And that was the other thing that we were going to potentially dig for. And I think at this point, since we're looking at just a 2/2 over there, I think we just kind of go for Parallel Lives. I like that, because we still got Doomblade available if we wanted to. And so let's go and push in with Sidisi, because if we can get some extra zombies going, I do like that. So let's go and push in for 3. That's going to be attack. All right, so we do run into Underrealm Lich out of the graveyard. It's going to be 2 zombies on the battlefield with Parallel Lives. And then no swing in from, or no block from Joyra. Joyra is Familiar. And so we're looking at 3, and that's Toxic, Doomblade. Yeah, I think we just passed the turn over to our opponent. So we will leave up Doomblade. I'm not really sure what sort of flavor of Squee our opponent is playing. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't played against Squee a lot to be like, all right, we need to save up removal for this or that. And so if they end up going for Swiftfoot Boots onto Squee, what it might end up doing is going for Doomblade in response to that. But we'll kind of see what's going on. So it's going to be Grafted Exoskeleton. Let's see. Equip creature gets +2/+2, has infect. All right, so I'm gonna go for the equip onto Joyra. Yeah, I think we go for that. I mean, because it's just a 2/2 with flying. Yeah, we're cool with that. So let's go Doomblade on Joyra's Familiar. So that's gonna be Command Tower, Birds of Paradise, and then that's gonna be Doomblade on Familiar. So that'll at least kind of get rid of that extra equip for 2 off of Exoskeleton. And that'll just put it at Squee and Sad Robot. Now that we have a couple extra zombies on the battlefield, if they want to swing in with Squee or Sad Robot, we'll probably end up blocking for that. We don't have Dread Return in the graveyard just yet, but I think I'm kind of okay with making this trade. So let's go for Zombie Token on Squee. And actually, we'll go and let Sad Robot come in because I don't mind skipping the card draw. They're only sitting at 1 total card in the hand. And so I don't really want to give him extra card draw. So we'll end up going for that. So we do have Sidisi that we do have Death Threat Shaman, but we don't have any lands that we can exile. So see what we draw into for the turn. Run into Mana Confluence. So let's get that down. Let's go for Sidisi swinging in right now. All right, so swinging in, see if we hit a mill off of this, get a couple zombies off of that. All right, we do not get a zombie, but we do run into Life from the Loam, and that is something that we are very happy to see. And we have Gerard's Order, which we can put a creature straight into the graveyard. But if we want, we can actually just Doom Whisper for something like Crater Hoof, and I think I kind of like that. So let's get down Doom Whisper. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. Tap down for 1 more. So it's going to be Doom Whisper on the battlefield, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Yeah, we're going to do that. So with Doom Whisper, what we'll probably end up doing is trying to surveil into getting Crater Roof into the graveyard and maybe running into something like Reanimate. I think I kind of like doing that because we've got enough to where if we wanted to, well, actually, with Dread Return, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if we've got enough to hoof it up. But at least dumping cards into the graveyard is something we do want to do. All right, so it's going to be Grafted Exoskeleton. It's going to be 4/3 at Hexproof and Infect. And then with the Collar as Death Touch and Lifelink. I'm just trying to make sure that we just don't lose to something kind of gnarly with all this equipment on there. Because if we just toss a zombie token in front of it, we can get that done. So let's see what this is. All right, so we go Zombie Token block on Squee. Because it doesn't have, nothing has trample. Alright, so that's just a block. Okay. And then if they pass the turn, we will be aggressive with Doom Whisper. So let's do this. Let's be aggressive with Doom Whisper. We're going to pay a lot of life on this one and just find something. See what we can just kind of basically dig into with those 13 arms of Doom Whisper. Okay, so we got a bunch of zombies on the battlefield. We did end up running into Demonic Tutor. Either way, we were getting pretty low on life total, so we're not going to pay 1 for that Master of Death's ability. We don't want to Dredge just yet. No, we don't. We draw into Demonic Tutor. Let's go Demonic Tutor. And I just now remembered, with Reanimate, you have to pay life equal to the total converted mana cost of whatever creature you're putting out there. So unfortunately, I think that cuts us off going for Crater Hoof. We're probably just going to end up grabbing Undead Warchief. Let's just grab Undead Warchief. Let's go for Undead Warchief. Alright, so we're going to go for Undead Warchief. So let's get down Undead Warchief. We're looking at a pretty good chunk of zombies. Yeah, unfortunately with the with that Doom Whisperer, I was digging for Reanimate. And what we're going to do is we're going to do Demonic Tutor for Reanimate. And unfortunately, I totally forgot about the life loss on Reanimate. I was thinking that we could just go for Demonic Tutor, grab the Reanimate, and that would put us in a spot to where we could hoof it up and get it out there with Gerard's Orders, but unfortunately with the life loss, that is not going to happen. All right, so we're going to sing the entire crew in. That's going to be 8 times 4, so that's going to be a pretty good chunk of damage right there. And we'll see what else. It's going to be a couple extra zombies on the battlefield, so I think Undead Warchief's going to get it done. So we'll see what this is. They can block with Sad Robot on Sidisi, but that's still going to be 8 times 4. That should be just enough. All right, there we go. Drop our opponent down to -1. So unfortunately, since we did get down to 8, that cut us off of Reanimate. But thankfully, with Undead Warchief, we were able to get it done. So, but anyway, if you enjoyed the Sidisi, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to some Sidisi, Wicked Witch of the West Coast. As far as our opening hand goes, we got the lands. But if we're doing Sidisi versus Sidisi, we don't really have a lot of opening action. So let's see. Do we want to ship this one back? Yeah, let's go ahead and go. Let's ship this one back. Let's see if we can't catch something just a little bit better. Okay, we'll keep on this one. I like this a lot, so we'll keep. Let's go ahead and dump. At this point, we're going to get rid of Mana Confluence. I think we're okay with that. Click OK. And let's get Sidisi popped up. Let's go and lead off with... We're going to lead off with Scalding Tarn. Actually, we'll lead off with Woodland Cemetery. And then anything else, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Sidisi, Wicked Witch of the West Coast. We're going to hit the east side of that LBC on that mission. Trying to find Mr. Warren G today. So, let's have some fun, regulators. Let's mount up, get some zombies going. We're playing Sidisi. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, that's also Warren G regulators. You know, check that song out. It's very good. Whenever Sidisi enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards. Then, whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Oh, and they got Life of the Loam on an empty graveyard. That's exactly what you do with with Sidisi. Now, we do have Shepherd of Rot, so I'm interested to see if we can't get this Shepherd of Rot going. So let's see. Let's go and lead off with, I think we'll just go for Forest. I think that'll work, and then anything else. Let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Also playing against Sidisi Brood Tyrant. Whenever Sidisi enters the battlefield or attacks, mill 3 cards. Then whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. If you didn't believe me. And we covered both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that will apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you do use that link, much obliged. I certainly appreciate it. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you want to get some online Sidisi zombie action, they've got you covered. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home in the zombie pits, it is officially free time, so let's have some fun. All right, so we run into Tropical Island. Let's go and get that down. Let's go for Cultivate. Excuse me, Kodama's Reach. Same thing. Let's go for Kodama's Reach, and let's go ahead and, since we do have a couple different blue-green sources, let's go and grab a double Swamp on this one. And yeah, we've only got one or two blue sources, so I think we're okay. Yeah, we'll just grab double Swamps on this. So, one Swamp onto the graveyard, one Swamp into the hand. And we have made the land drop for the turn, then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. But yes, it is free time. And let's talk about what we are doing with Sidisi. If you haven't seen Sidisi before, it's about getting cards into your graveyard. And our opponent's off to a very good start because they have Life from the Loam. That is one of the best things you can do in Sidisi. If you've never played it before, or at least from my viewpoint, Sidisi is basically just a Life from the Loam deck. You know, you get Sidisi on the battlefield, and then you get Life from the Loam going. You start dredging every single turn. And you just end up with a lot of zombies. You make your land drops every single turn. You're filling up your graveyard. You're trying to get the Dread return. You're trying to get Hoof out of the graveyard. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. Okay, yeah, I think we just end up going Sidisi. I think that sounds good. We are holding on to fetch lands for one reason. If you're wondering why I haven't played it yet, and I'll explain that in just a second. Let's go ahead and grab that. Boom, boom, boom. Get our own Sidisi onto the battlefield. We miss on a zombie. Let's go ahead and drop in Swamp, and then anything else we will pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, with our fetch lands, we are running Hedron Crab in here. And with Hedron Crab, it is a 1-mana crab, and it says whenever a land enters the battlefield, target player puts 3 cards, mills 3 cards. And so let's say that we had Hedron Crab. There we go. Opponent's got Hedron Crab. So let's say that we play a Misty. Let's see if our opponent targets us. You can target a player other than yourself, but we'll see who they target. But with Hedron Crab, you drop a fetch land. That's 3. You crack in response to that, grab the land that you're looking for, then that's another 3. And then, yeah, so you're looking at 6 cards in the graveyard from a Hedron Crab. That's some good stuff right there. The only thing that we might, if we can get ahead on, oh no, this is going to be Demon's Disciple. Sacrifices a creature or a planeswalker. That will definitely be Sidisi. So we're going to sacrifice Sidisi. We will return it back to the command zone because we have no sort of reanimation going. And then we will pass the turn. So they're going to swing in. That's going to be another mill action from Sidisi. And they hit Wonder out of the graveyard, which is, it's going to give everybody flying. So that's a little bit of a bummer. And so let's go ahead. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with a land drop. I think at this point, what are we going for? So they do have flying. That's going to be Death Touch. So I think we just roll out Sidisi again. That's probably the best thing. So let's go and crack Misty. Let's go and grab ourselves something that comes into play untapped. So we'll grab ourselves Bayou. Let's get Sidisi back onto the battlefield. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Make sure we tap down for blue. Let's get Sidisi down. Hopefully we hit a zombie off of this. We do not. And then anything else, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. But yeah, we are in a little bit of a crunch. They've got some flying zombies, so we'll see what can happen. We haven't really seen any sort of fetch lands from our opponent, so we don't have to worry about the craziness that is Hedron Crab like that. So maybe if we can grab our own, we can get that going. We do have Shepherd of Rot. So if we want to make this like a really tight game, we can try. Let's see. All right, so no swinging from the flying zombie. So we're still looking at 31, 33. And if we can just start to match these zombies, because I think next turn we go Adrix, I think that'll be good. Because that'll be twice the zombie tokens that allow us to compete with their CDC out there. The flying part's going to be hard. If we have got to stop flying. We do have Wonder in our graveyard, so if we run into Entomb or something like that and we get Wonder going, we'll go for that. But with Shepherd of Rot, we might be able to make this a close game. We'll see. Shepherd of Rot is one of my favorite zombie cards, if not one of my favorite cards just in general in Magic. I love it. It's a lot of fun. Each player loses 1 life for each zombie on the battlefield, and so that's going to count for their zombies over there too. And that'll be both of us. And so what we can, I guess technically what we can do is we can put Shepherd of Rot into a draw if we need to. Or maybe we can get the math going to where we can barely squeak it out. Because if we're ahead by a little bit, then that'll get it done. So let's see what this is. That's going to be Necromancy, and see what they're targeting with Necromancy. That appears to be World Shaper. And whenever it attacks, you get to mill 3 cards. Okay, so that's pretty good. So let's see, and it's going to be sacrificing World Shaper to bring all those lands onto the... Ooh, my goodness. This is going to be rough. Okay, so they bring Cavernous Souls back. That's going to be a lot of Hedron Crab triggers. Let's see what's going to happen with this. Yep, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. That's going to be 24. Yeah, we're looking at almost 30 cards into the bin, somewhere in that neighborhood. So we're looking at 1 CDC trigger so far. Okay, that's another CDC trigger. All right. So we're looking at our single Sidisi, and that's Mana Crypt, which doesn't really do much. All right, so we're looking at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It's going to be 14, 16. It's going to be 20. It's going to be 23 next turn. I don't know how we get out from this, other than maybe we Shepherd of Rot to tie it up. But even then, with them at 31, I don't think we can get it done. Okay, so for dumping stuff out onto the battlefield, they all have flying, so it's really not going to matter. So I guess at this point, we just go for Adrix. That's going to be green, blue. Tap down for 2. That's going to have Ward for 2. We make the land drop with Scalding Tarn. And let's go Shepherd of Rot. And then let's see, anything else. I mean, I guess technically... Yeah, if we're going to go for this, we might as well. Let's go and go Scalding Tarn. And we'll grab ourselves... Ooh, unfortunately, we've got to take 2 on this one. We'll take 2. Let's go Mana Crypt. And then we're going to go for Zir of the Scorpion. But one of the good things about trying to get some Sidisi action is to get some Sidisi action from our opponent. So we'll get in on Vizier the Scorpion. And then, do we just attack into a random board state? They all have flying, which are going to definitely be able to get rid of Sidisi. And we'll choose one. We'll choose this army one. It's going to make it 0-1. Then anything else, I guess we just pass the turn. Yeah, because if we swing it, we can always recast Sidisi. And maybe we get lucky milling some more cards and getting rid of Sidisi, because we'll get rid of a zombie. Because technically Sidisi's not a zombie, so it don't really matter. And if we draw into something dead next turn, we can just recast Sidisi. So, yeah, let's give it a shot. I mean, not the best attack that we can go for, but we're trying to get something moving on our side of the battlefield. So let's get Sidisi. We do run into Stitcher Supplier in the bin, so that's going to give us an extra zombie token. And then anything else, we will pass the turn. So let's get a quick count on the zombie tokens. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to be 9. So we're looking at 18 coming across the next turn. And so we'll get rid of a couple of the zombie tokens. Click OK on that. And then, yes, we will return CDC back to the command zone. And then anything else, pass it over to our opponent. But yes, if I'm going for a Sidisi video and you got Sidisi versus Sidisi, we're in a pretty good spot. But yeah, this is what we're trying to do, is what our opponent did. And that is get down Hedron Crab. Get the zombies going. You hit You hit Wonder in the graveyard, and that gives all of them flying, and that is just good to go. And the only thing I'm not really seeing in here is we are looking for, in the bin, we are looking for Dread Return. Because with Dread Return, that gives you the option to sacrifice 3. There we go. So they do have Dread Return, so they can sacrifice 3 creatures. Do they have Hoof in here? Are they hoofing it up with Crater Hoof? Let's see. So I don't see Crater Hoof. They do have Primal Command's not a creature. There's Living Death in the graveyard. So they do have an active Dread Return, but at this point they don't really have, as long as I'm not missing something, it appears that they don't have something that is just absolutely insane. Like they've got like Bane of Progress, which is going to destroy each artifact and enchantment, which really that'll just pop both of our mana crypts. They've got the Scarab God, which that would definitely be a good Dread Return option, where the lose X life scry X, because that would, if they end up going Dread Return on that, that'll be pretty rough. And then other than that, I think that's about it. So we're kind of basically looking at the Scarab God, and depending on how they wanted to set that up, that could get something done. But we'll see how they decide to swing in. They've got flying, which is they're going to be able to fly over our zombies. So our only out on this would be potentially setting up a Shepherd of Rot, because technically if everybody's losing the life total, as long as we're just a couple ahead, we could go for that. But if they swing in with the flying zombies, I think they're going to get it on this one. So that's going to be Champion of Wits out of the graveyard. That's going to be draw cards equal to its power if you do discard 2 cards. So we'll see what that is. But that's some good stuff right there. I don't think their life total will get down low enough. That's going to be, because that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's only 16 zombies on the battlefield right now. That's going to be Liliana, because the thing with Shepherd of Rot is if I go for the Shepherd of Rot activation, the game will end in a tie, and then we'll have to redo and go again. So if they get past the 20-something zombie thing, then we might be able to get it, but I just can't see them getting that far, so we'll see. All right, so opponent's going to go for Liliana. That's going to bring the Scarab God out of the graveyard. It is a zombie, and we'll see what that is. Maybe we can get past the threshold. All right, you got to send in Hedron Craft sometimes if that's flying. All right, it's going to be Sidisi trigger. They're swinging in. Not going to offer up any blocks on this one. It's going to drop us down to 9. Let's see if we can get some zombies going. So that's going to be Gleaming Overseer for next turn. I mean, we've got some outs. If we end up going for Living Death, it's really not that good. It'll hit the reset button, but at least we're going to be able to untap with a Shepherd of Rot. And at the very least, we'll go for a Shepherd of Rot activation, just to kind of see, because we will have Toxic Deluge, and that might work. All right, it's going to be Gaunty. Look at the top 4 cards of our library. Get to exile one of those face down. And unfortunately, that is not a zombie. All right, so let's see what we draw into. We got a Mana Crypt trigger. We're going to choose Tails on this one. Lost the Flip. That drops us down to 6. And then we draw into Flooded Strand. Okay, so I guess, so we're looking at Sidisi for how much? That's going to be 8 total mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's going to be 10. And so I guess we just go ahead and deploy the entire crew out, because I don't think we've got enough, but we'll just at least get everybody out there. So let's get Island onto the battlefield. Now let's go Sidisi. And excuse me, I thought I had just enough for Gleaming Overseer, but I guess at this point, they're going to have Menace. Yeah, let's do this. So let's go for Gleaming. Do we have enough to get this down? It's going to be another... So we'll lose that extra mana, because let's make sure that's correct. So Sidisi will end up costing 8, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we're 1 away, so we can't get the Sidisi going. So we're going to click OK. We'll lose that extra mana. Let's go to the attack step. We're going to have Vizier, which is a... Yeah, so they're going to swing in. Zombie token swing in, and then swing in. Maybe we can get some extra damage in. I don't think we're going to have enough. We'll see. We'll see how they decide to block. So we do have Menace, so it's at least going to take double the amount that they're going to go for. Either way, we're going to be dead to the Scarab God trigger at the beginning of their upkeep. So we'll see how they decide to go for this. Okay, so they're going to double block with the entire crew. And so we'll click OK on this one, and then we're going to go for the Shepherd of Rot active. I don't think we can get out of this one, but we'll still end up going for the Shepherd of Rot. There we go. Drop our opponent down to 12. They got it on this one. Good game to them. They have us with the Scarab God trigger at the beginning of the upkeep. So, but we got some good stuff in there. Yeah, with Shepherd of Rot, if we just get off to a little bit of a quicker start with Sidisi, maybe we can send this game into a tie. But at the very least, one of the fun things about playing with Shepherd of Rot and the Sidisi deck is if you can get ahead of your opponent on life total and get a lot of zombies out there, it's definitely one way to close it out, or it's one way to stop yourself from getting hit by a Scarab God trigger. But anyways, If you enjoyed Sidisi today, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.